Okay, so why have I circled 3, 4, 8 and 12? Well, what you do know is that if Joe throws a 6 and a 2, we can add, subtract, times or divide. That's what I've done. 8, 4, 12 and 3, they're the only numbers we can make, hence why I've circled all of them. Hopefully a nice, easy mark to get us going. Alright then, Erin's. So, Erin's a little bit different, her board. Less numbers on there, so she's going to throw both dice. Cross all the numbers on the board that are not possible. So make sure you've read that properly. Not possible. Well, why have I gone for the why have I gone for the number 13? Well, I know 6 is the biggest I can get when I roll 1. 6 add 6 would be 12, or 6 times 2 would be 12. No way making 13. I also know 13 is a prime number. Similarly, 17 is a prime number. So, I can't make 17. I definitely can't add anything to get to 17 either. So then 14, the only way you can make 14 is 7 times 2. Well, you can't get 7, that's why I've written it there. On a dice, you can get a 2 but not a 7, and you can't add 7 and 7 to get to 14. So 13, 14 and 17 are the only numbers we cannot make on there. 1 mark if you had one of them. Sorry, 1 mark if you had 2 of them, 2 marks for both. 2 marks for all 3 correct, rather, I should have said. Okay, on to Lisa. So, Lisa says, if both dice show even numbers, you cannot knock off an odd. So the only way we can test this now is by choosing even numbers. So what are our even numbers? 2, 4 and 6. They're the only ones we can have. So I'm going to use them now below. So one of these is not correct. Let's find out how or which one by using these. So what have I started to do? Well, I've first done the multiplying bullet point, which is the third one. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 6, 24. Both of them are even, so that one works. I've then gone on to the adding one, which is the first bullet point at the top. So 2 add 2, 4 add 6. I could have used some other numbers, but both of them are even, and hopefully you know whenever you add evens, it's always going to give you evens. Because it says show why she's not correct, you've got to prove that this is correct. Then, for the next one, taken away 6, take away 4, 4 take away 2. Again, lovely, gives us even numbers. So what are we left with? Well, whatever I'm hiding my hand with, bit of division. Division is the last bullet point here. 6 divided by 2, or 2 divided by 2, you will notice both of them give me odd numbers. So if both of them give me odd numbers, which bullet point is incorrect? Well, it's the fourth one, so the last bullet point. Have to prove it with numbers though for the marks, okay? Okay, David wakes up in the night. That's the time. Probably a bit sleepy at that time in the morning. Write all the times between 3:30 and 4:30 when the clock shows digits that add up to 9. So, you could, if you wanted, start to think about what digits can add up to 9. Or, bit of trial and error, you could start to just think, right, well, I know that if it's only 3 and 4 o'clock, these numbers have to stay the same, which is going to limit the numbers here, which you can add. So I started to have a little bit of a play around, 3:15, 3:24, 3:42. Then I thought, right, let's try and get a better strategy, which is my one below. So I started from 3:30. I knew 3:30 wouldn't get me there, so how many 3s would I need now? Remember, when this 10 here, so if I just zoom in a bit, this is the 10s. It's stuck at 3 for 10 minutes. So if these two add to 6, there's only one other number which can get you to 9. Okay, so hopefully you clocked onto that. So then I'll have to go up to 340. Well, 3 add 4 is 7. So then I just found out what's the only other number to get me to 9, which is 2. Then I went up to the 50s, 350. 3 add 1 is 8. So then again, the only number I could have there is a 9. Then moving back on to 4 o'clock. So now all of these are stuck at 4. We know we can only have combinations of numbers here which add to get you to 5. Hence the 0 and the 5, the 1 and the 4, and the 2 and the 3. Okay, so for the 3 marks, you need all of these correct. If you've got at least 3 of them, you get 1 mark, and if you've got at least 4 or 5 of them, you get 2 marks. Okay, so let's have a look where all my understanding has come from here. If you did not know 144, which is 12 squared, 12 squared is 144, or 12 times 12. If you didn't know that, which would tell you there's 12 tiles down and 12 tiles across, you could have simply counted. And if you counted all of these squares, it would have been 12 and 12. So that's a good start. So I know 60 centimetres equals 12 tiles. So now it's saying, if the rectangle is 120 by 90, how many tiles will you need? So the relationship from 60 up to 120 is double. So if 60 centimetres is 12 tiles, if I look at my diagram here, I now know 120 centimetres, which is across here, would have to be 124 tiles. Sorry, 24 tiles. It's double the 12. So that bit's quite nice. Now for 60, to get me to 90, it's another 30 centimetres. Well, if 60 tiles is 12, 30 centimetres has got to be half of that, because half of 60 is 30. So half of the 12 is 6. So 6 centimetres. 6 tiles rather. So now for the 90 is the 60 and the 30, which is the 12 and the 6, which is the 18. So this is where this has come from here. I've halved it and then added it on for the 90. So now I know when it's 90 down, 120 across, it's 18 by 24. So to find out how many are in there, simply 18 times 24, which gives me an answer of 432. Now there is other ways you could have done it, but as long as you notice 24 tiles down or 18 tiles up, you get a mark, and then the full marks are the 432. Okay, I'll say it all the time, all right? Don't care if you're bored of hearing it. If you have diagrams, use them. They're there to help you. So the cat and this brick is 35 centimetres. Look at the arrows, okay? It's from the top of the cat to the bottom of the brick. If I compare that to over here, the difference between 35 and 40 is 5. So what is the actual difference in terms of the picture? Well, 1 brick here, 2 bricks here. So if you've added another brick, that is what's told me a brick has to be 5 centimetres, because the gap from 35 to 40 is 5, and we've only added another brick. So if this is 5, this is 5. What's the cat? The cat has got to be 30, because all of it's 40. 5, 10, add the 30 is 40. Let's check it over here. If the cat is 30 and the brick is 5, does that add to 35? Yes, it does. So moving on to our next picture. Again, what have I done? So I'm deliberately hiding some of this. Well, now the cat sits on more bricks. Well, the cat it's the same cat, guys, so it's got to be 30 centimetres. That is why I've written 30 by here. 30 from here. The whole of it is 90, so we know we can subtract that 30 at some point, which is what I've done here. 90 take away 30 is 60. So that tells me all of the bricks are now 60. I haven't read the question, you'll note this, because I'm just using the diagram to help me. Now let's go down to the question. The total height is 90. Well, we just figured that out anyway. Work out how many bricks there are. Well, if we subtract the cat, which we've already done, all of these bricks are 60, which is what I just said. So if we know every single brick was actually 5 centimetres, it's nice and simple now. How many of these 5s would get me up to the 60? 60 centimetres is all the bricks. Quickest way to do that is 60 centimetres divided by 5 centimetres, which gives me the answer of 12 bricks. Okay, for the 4 marks here, loads going on. If there's 4 marks available. If you find out the cat was 30, you get a mark, or a brick is 5, that's a mark. And then if you've shown 60 centimetres, that's your 3rd mark, and your final mark then for 12 bricks. Okay, so quite a bit of information going on here. So let's try and find the most reasonable place to start. Ice cream, okay, it costs this much. Well, you don't really need to start there because you don't know how much ice cream you need yet. Cones, well, great, we know there's a pack of 10, but we don't know how many cones we need. 100 ml of ice cream into each cone, all right, that's helpful, but we still don't know how many ice creams we need. Aha, that's why I circled it number 1. 100 ice creams, we must buy enough to make 100. So if 100 is my quantity, that is my starting point. Hence why I put a number 1 around it, okay? We will sell each one. If anything, you could make a note saying this is the final piece of information you are going to need. Okay, so I've read that. Now let's have a look what the question has to offer. What is it saying? Okay, work out what the children need to buy and the total cost. Well, 100 ice creams has to be a starting point. We said that. Well, if you're making 100 ice creams, hopefully you know now you need the cones. So there's 10 cones of 40p, but we need 100. So to get 100, I'm going to have to buy 10 packs, hence why I've written times by 10. Could write it by here as well. 10 packs, so 40p times 10 gives me £4. So that's my first bit. If you've done that, you've got a mark. Now then, ice cream. So don't forget, you've got all the information over here. So if I just zoom out a little bit, ice cream. We need 100 cones, but how much ice cream is in each cone? That's by here. We will put 100 ml of ice cream into each cone. So I started by doing 100 times 100 milliliters times by 100 cones to find out the total amount of milliliters, which is 10,000. But why have I changed 10,000 milliliters to liters? Remember, to do that, you divide by 1,000 because there's 1,000 milliliters in a litre. Well, this is why. The ice cream actually comes in litre tubs. If this is in litres, it makes it easier for us here if I change this to litres. Okay? Right then. That's my next part. A tub is equal to 2 litres. So if a tub is 2 litres, but we need 10, hopefully you now can recognise you need 5 tubs to get you up to the 10 litres. Okay? Which is where, just hide the final answer, but if that, which is where I've written 5 tubs, or why I've written that rather. So if I know that 1 tub is going to be £1.75, 5 of those tubs is 5 lots of £1.75, which is £8.75. Remember, you've got a calculator, so use that to help you. So to find out the total cost, it is going to be the cost of the cones, £4, added to the cost of the ice cream, £8.75. Total answer, £12.75. Again, 4 marks available. So if you've got £4, you've got yourself a mark. If you've noticed that you need 10,000 ml or 10 litres, you've got yourself another mark. And then 5 tubs is your third mark and your final answer for £12.75. Okay. All right then, profit. They sell 100 ice creams. How much profit have they made? The only way you can find out your profit is if you first find out, or at some point find out how much you've received. So where's 100 times 50 come from? We know they sold 100, so I've done 100. Where did my 50p come from, you ask? Click on the previous question, or the previous page rather. The final bit of information, remember, we will sell each ice cream for 50p. So I've done 100 times 50p to find out how much I've received, which is £50. And then, to find out how much profit I've made, I've got to take off my answer in the previous question, which is £12.75, to find out how much money we have left, which is a profit of £37.25p. So the 2 marks there. However, if you've had a go at this part but had it wrong, then used this answer here, 50, take away whatever your answer was, you will still get 2 marks. If you've only found out £50 but you haven't taken away any sort of total cost from the previous question, you only get the 1.